Let's try another approach. For purposes of subtraction, let's limit ourselves to the numbers between 1 and 5. Wait now, miss, you'll soon see I'm going to make you understand. Look here, miss, you see?
Yes, Professor.
These are sticks, miss. Sticks. This is 1 stick, these are 2 sticks, 3 sticks, 4 sticks, and 5 sticks. 1 stick, 2 sticks, 3, 4, and 5 sticks. And these are numbers. When we count the sticks, each stick is a unit, miss. What did I just say?
A unit, miss. What have I just said?
Or a figure or a number. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are the elements of numeration.
Yes, Professor. The elements, figures, which are sticks, units, and numbers.
At the same time, that is to say, the whole of arithmetic is there.
Yes, Professor. Good, Professor. Thanks, Professor.
Count then, if you will please, using these elements, add and subtract.
So, elements are really figures and numbers or units?
So to speak, and then?
So if one can subtract 2 units from 3 units, can one subtract 2 2s from 3 3s and 2 figures from 4 numbers and 3 numbers from 1 unit?
No, miss.
But why, Professor?
Because, miss.
Because why, Professor? One is the same as the other.
Because that's the way it is, miss. It can only be comprehended through internal mathematical reasoning. Either you have it or you don't.
So much the worse for me.
Listen to me, miss. If you do not achieve a profound understanding of these basic principles, these arithmetical archetypes, you will never be able to perform the functions of a polytechnician. Still, less you will be able to teach a course in the polytechnical school or the primary grades. I realize that this is not easy. It is very, very abstract, obviously. However, unless you can understand the primary elements, how do you expect to be able to calculate mentally? And this is the least of the things that an ordinary engineer must be able to do. How many, for example, are 3,755,998,251 multiplied by 5,303,164,508?
That makes 90 quintillion, 390 quadrillion, 2 trillion, 844 billion, 219 million, 164,508.
No. I don't believe it. That must make 19 quintillion, 390 quadrillion, 2 trillion, 844 billion, 219 million, 164,509.
No, 508.
Yes. You're right. The result is indeed billion. 164,508. But how did you know that if you don't understand the basic principles of arithmetical reasoning?
It's easy. Not being able to rely on my reasoning, I memorize all the products of all possible multiplications.
That's pretty good. However, permit me to confess to you that this does not satisfy me and this won't do. I do not congratulate you. In mathematics and in arithmetic, the thing that counts is, for arithmetic, one must always be able to count. The thing that counts is above all understanding. It is by mathematical reasoning, both inductive and deductive, that you ought to arrive at this result as well as at any other result. Mathematics is a sworn enemy of memory, which is excellent otherwise, but disastrous mathematically speaking. That is why I am not happy with this. This won't do, not at all.
No, Professor.
Let's leave it for the moment. Let's go on to another exercise.
Professor.
It is unfortunate that you aren't further along in specialized mathematics.
Professor.
I hear that you will not be able to qualify for the total doctor's orals.
Yes, Professor. It's too bad.
Unless you let me be, Marie! Look here, why are you bothering me? Go back to the kitchen to your pots and pans. Go away, go away! We will try at least to prepare you for the partial doctor's orals.
Professor.
Leave me alone! Look here, what is the meaning of this?
mustn't do that.
Marie, you're going too far.
Professor, especially not philology. Philology leads to calamity.
To calamity? That's hard to believe.
That's enough now. Get out of here.
All right, Professor, all right, but you can't say that I didn't warn you.
I am an adult, Marie!
Yes, Professor.
As you wish.
Let's continue, miss.
Yes, Professor.
I want you to listen now with the greatest possible attention to a lecture I have prepared.
Yes, Professor.
Thanks to which in 15 minutes' time you will be able to acquire the fundamental principles of linguistics and comparative philology of the Neo-Spanish languages.
Oh, yes, Professor. Oh, good.
Quiet! What do you mean by that?
I'm sorry, Professor.
Quiet! And now, miss, Spanish is truly the mother tongue which gave birth to all the Neo-Spanish languages, of which Latin, Italian, French, Portuguese, Romanian, Sardinian, Sardanapalian, and also in certain of its aspects, Turkish, which is very close to Greek, which is only logical since it is a fact that Turkey is a neighbor to Greece and Greece is even closer to Turkey than you are to me. This is only one illustration of the linguistic law, which states that philology and geography are twin sisters. You may take notes, miss.
Yes, Professor.
That which distinguishes the Neo-Spanish languages and their idioms from other linguistic groups, such as a group of languages called the Austrian, or Neo-Austrian, or Habsburgian, as well as the Esperanto, Helvetian, Mandarin, Monacan, Swiss, Basque, and Highland groups, and also some technical and diplomatic languages. That which distinguishes them, I repeat, is their striking resemblance, which makes it so difficult to distinguish them from one another. I'm speaking of the Neo-Spanish languages, which one is able to distinguish from one another, however, only due to their distinctive traits. Absolutely indisputable proofs of their extraordinary resemblance, which renders indisputable their common origin, and which, at the same time, differentiates them through the continuation of the distinctive traits which I have just cited.
Oh, yes, Professor.
But let's not linger over generalities.
Oh, Professor.
This appears to interest you. All the better, all the better.
Yes, Professor.
Don't worry, miss, we will come back to it later. That is, if we come back to it at all, you can say.
Yes, Professor.
Every tongue, you must know this, miss, and remember it until the hour of your death.
Yes, Professor, to the hour of my death.
And this, too, is a fundamental principle. Every tongue is at bottom nothing but language, which necessarily implies that it is composed of sounds or...
Phonemes?
Just what I was going to say! Don't parade your knowledge and do better to listen. The sounds, miss, must be seized on the wing as they fly so that they'll not fall on deaf ears. Therefore, when you set out to articulate, it is recommended, insofar as possible, that you lift your chin and neck up very high and rise upon the tips of your toes, you see, this way.
Yes, Professor.
Keep quiet, remain seated, and don't interrupt me! And project the sounds very loudly with all the force of your lungs in conjunction with that of your vocal cords like this. Look. Butterfly. Eureka! Papaya. Guacamole. Banana peppers. This way, the sounds become filled with warm air that is lighter than the surrounding air so that they may fly without danger of falling on deaf ears, which are veritable voids, tunes of sonorities. If you utter several sounds at an accelerated speed, the words automatically cling to one another, constituting thus syllables, words, even sentences, that is to say, groupings of various importance, purely irrational assemblages of sound, but for that very reason, the more capable they are of maintaining themselves at a high altitude in the air. By themselves, words charged with meaning will fall, weighted down by their significance, and in the end, they always collapse, fall.
On deaf ears?
That's it, but don't interrupt! And into the worst confusion remotes burst like balloons. Therefore, Miss... What's the matter?
I've got a toothache.
That's not important. We're not going to stop for anything so trivial.
Yes,